Hello, my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach, and today is Monday. It's our third Monday of the month, and so it's our Scrap Happy Pattern Day. So, I decided to get into some of my blanket yarn and make a pillow with my leftover scraps. I didn't have enough to make another blanket, and so I just made two different toppers, put them together, and stuffed them. It has kind of a pentagon shape, but it does come in just a little bit, so it almost looks like a star. And it's absolutely gorgeous, and I love it. It measures about 15 inches by 15 inches, and depending on how tightly you stitch, it might be bigger or smaller, of course. And also how much stuffing you put inside. This is just such a soft and squishy pillow. My thought on this was I have made many baby blankets using this blanket yarn, super bulky number 6, and I had all these leftovers. Well, why not next time when I make a baby blanket for the baby, make a pillow for the mom? She could put it behind her back while she's nursing. She could put it on her lap while she's resting and reading a book. She could even put her feet on it, resting them on the coffee table when she's grabbing just a few minutes of personal time. Sometimes we forget about the mama and not the baby. You know, we love to make baby gifts, and mamas always love those, but we also need to remember those mamas as well. It's also a great gift for your grandma or your dad or anybody who wants to put their feet up on the coffee table maybe, or put this little pillow right behind their back. It's just a super fun project, and I just love the way that it turned out. Now, you can find, as always, that free pattern on my blog, and I'll put that link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, so to make our Scrap Happy fuzzy pillow, you're going to need some bulky weight, which is a number 6 blanket yarn. And I just got in my yarn stash and pulled out some fun colors. This one's purple with a variegated brown and a cream edge. For today's demonstration, I'm going to use the blue and the cream and do the edge in this brown. Then it will kind of coordinate with what I'm doing, because remember, we need to make a front and a back for our pillow. You're going to need approximately 8.5 ounces of a bulky number 6. It's actually a super bulky number 6 yarn. You're also going to need about 10 to 12 ounces of a polyester fiber fill to stuff our pillow with. All right, we're going to be stitching today with our L, which is an 8mm crochet hook. Usually with a bulky number 6, you're using an N, but we wanted to go down a little because we want the stitches to be a little bit snugger so you don't see the stuffing through the pillow. So 8mm L hook. You're also going to need a button of some sort, because we're going to put that in the center and cinch it together. I really like this one. I may use this one. It's a wooden button, but I found these at Walmart. Super cute flower buttons, nice and big. They need to be about 1 inch to 2 inches, not an exact size. You might just get in your button stash and see what you have that goes along with your colors. You can use plastic or wooden or whatever you want for your button. You're also going to need a needle just for weaving in ends and for sewing on your button. You also need a pair of scissors. The other thing you're going to need is some medium weight number 4 yarn, just enough to sew on your button. So you might want to get something that matches the colors that you're using, because you don't want to sew it on with the blanket yarn. You want to sew it on with a good sturdy yarn. It can be a cotton or a acrylic, just a medium weight number 4 yarn to use for sewing on your button. And you might want to also have a smaller needle, because some of these big ones, they're not going to go through the holes of the needles. Or I mean the holes of the buttons. Okay? All right, so let's gather up our supplies and we'll get busy. All right, let's get started. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to join this into a circle, so we'll put that tail of yarn over our hook and pull that through. We'll snug that down and just make that little stay knot so our circle doesn't come undone. All right, now we're going to go in that circle, pull up a loop, and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This chain 4 counts as a double crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to stitch a double crochet, chain 1. So that gives us 2. So we need to stitch 8 more, so we have a total of 10 double crochet, chain 1. So that's 3, chain 1, 4, 5, get that tail of yarn out of the way there. Here we go. 6, 7. Just squeeze them in. It's going to be snug. 8. The tail of yarn's in the way there. 9. And 10. All right, so we have 10 sets of double crochet, chain 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I better chain 1. I'm going to join to the third chain of that chain 4 with a slip stitch. Now we're going to slip stitch in that first chain 1 space and chain 3. All right, now we'll turn this over because we have a little bit of a hole there, and we'll just give this a little bit of a pull. Not too hard because blanket yarn has a tendency to break on us. All right, so I'm going to weave this in. There we go. Just want to make sure that's going to stay put. So we'll go one way. I didn't leave a very long tail of yarn, so I'm going to put my needle in like this, and then grab that tail of yarn and pull that through. All right, so that's going to stay nice and secure because we went one way and then back the other. So I'll clip that, and so now for round 1 we have 10 sets of double crochet, chain 1. We slip stitched into our chain 1 space and chained 3. Let's do round 2. So our chain 3 that we stitched counts as our first double crochet. So we're going to stitch a double crochet in that same chain 1 space and chain 1. And then in this same chain 1 space, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. So in that first chain 1 space, we have 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Now we're just going to move over to the chain 1 space and stitch 1 double crochet. All right, so now we'll go to the next chain 1 space and stitch 2 double crochets. 1, 2, we'll chain 1 and stitch 2 more double crochets in that same chain 1 space. 1 and 2. And then go to the next chain 1 space and stitch 1 double crochet. All right, so we did 2, and now we need to do 3 more, so we have 5 corners. 1, 2, chain 1, 1, 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next. All right, and then we'll do that 2 more times and join to our chain 3. I have completed round 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners that each have 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochet. And then we have a double crochet in between each of those corners. We're going to join to the chain 3. Then we'll slip stitch in the next double crochet and then slip stitch in the chain 1 space. If you're not changing colors, go ahead and chain 3. I'm going to change colors. So I'll clip my yarn and bring in my next color. All right, so I'll go in that chain 1 space and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we will stitch a double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in that corner. All right, now we have 5 double crochets there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip this first double crochet and double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to do what's called a front post double crochet. We're going to be double crocheting around the post of the stitch instead of in the top where we usually stitch. We're still stitching a double crochet, we're just putting it in a different place. All right, so yarn over, go around the post, and stitch our double crochet. Then we'll stitch a regular double crochet in that next stitch. We'll skip that next double crochet and go right to the next chain 1 space, which is our next corner, and we'll stitch 2 double crochets. 1, 2, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Let's get some more yarn out here. There we go. There's 1 and 2. We'll skip this first double crochet and double crochet in the next. We'll stitch a front post double crochet in the next and stitch a regular double crochet in the next. So we stitch 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space. We skip the next one and stitch double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet. Then we skipped that next double crochet and we go right to our corner and stitch our corner, which again is 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. We'll skip the next stitch and stitch a double crochet in the next, front post double crochet in the next, and double crochet in the next. All right, so you can see the way that is working, and the shape of our pentagon is really popping out as we have a 5-sided shape. And so we'll repeat what we did here 2 more times. I have repeated the corner, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, then the double crochet, front post double crochet, those 2 more times. And now I'm going to join to the chain 3. I'm going to slip stitch in that next double crochet and slip stitch in the chain 1 space. Now I'm going to change colors again, and the reason I was not going to, but I want to, because I want you to be able to see the stitches, and it can be a little bit hard with the fuzzy yarns, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and bring back in my blue. There we go. We're going to go in that chain 1 space and stitch 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm going to leave my white yarn attached this time because I'm going to bring it back in after the next row. If you're changing colors every other row, just carry your yarn up the back. It'll be less that you have to weave in. All right, so let's make our corner. So I need to make another double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. All right, so now we have these stitches here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so we're going to skip our first double crochet of that 2 and stitch a double crochet in the next 2. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to stitch the front post around the front post that we stitched from the previous row. And then we'll stitch a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So now we have 2 double crochets, front post double crochet, and 2 double crochets. We'll skip that last double crochet and go right to the corner and stitch our corner. 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. All right, so then we'll skip the next double crochet in the next 2. 1, 2, front post double crochet around the front post double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. All right, and so this is our repeat for row 4. We're stitching our corner the same, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. Then we'll skip that first double crochet and stitch 2. Then we'll front post around the front post and stitch 2 double crochets. Then we'll go right back to our next corner and repeat 3 more times. I have completed row 4. We have our corners with 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Then we have 2 double crochets, front post double crochet, and 2 double crochets. And again, we skip the first one and the last of our double crochets on each side. And that helps it just lay nice and pretty. And I really love the cream and the blue together. It makes a really nice color combination. All right, so I've decided I'm going to go ahead and change colors. We join to our chain 3, we slip stitch to the next double crochet, and then slip stitched in the chain 1 space. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cream yarn. I'll just leave my blue one attached because we have 2 more rows, and I'll just alternate the 2. Again, the color choices are totally up to you. You could change colors every row and it would be super pretty. All right, so for row 5, we're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. Then we're going to double crochet. Guess I better get some yarn out here. So we chain 3, double crocheted, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space that is our corner. All right, so we're going to skip the first double crochet, a double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. That brings us to that front post stitch. And so again, we're going to front post double crochet around that front post stitch. And then we'll double crochet in the next 3. All right, there's the third one. We skip the next stitch right here and we go right over to the chain 1 space and stitch our corner. 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. All right, so now we're going to skip the next double crochet and double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And again, we front post double crochet around the front post double crochet and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right. So you can see how the repeat for row 5 works. We do our corner the same, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. We skip that next double crochet, stitch 3 double crochets, 1 front post, and 3 double crochets. And then we'll repeat that on these 3 sides. I have completed the 5th round on our pillow, and you can see it works up really quickly. All right, so I joined to my chain 3, I slip stitched in the next double crochet, and then slip stitched in the chain 1 space again. I am done with my cream yarn for right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and I'm going to bring back in my blue for my last row. Alrighty, so let's go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now the corner, of course, is going to be the same. My scissors out of the way there. So we'll double crochet in that chain 1 space, chain 1 and 2 double crochets for the corner. Again, we'll skip that first double crochet, and this time we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets before we reach that front post one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so now we're going to stitch that front post double crochet. There we go. My yarn is acting a little funny over there. And then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of the next 4. 1, 2. There we go. 3 and 4. All right, and so you can see as we added more rows, they got bigger, and we had more amount of double crochets on the sides of our front post stitch. All right, so now we'll go right to that next corner and stitch 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. The yarn is just acting so silly. All right, so we'll skip that next double crochet and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oops, get in there. And then again, we'll stitch that front post double crochet in the front post double crochet. And then 1 double crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so now you can see the way that row 6 is stitched. We still have our corner, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. This time we skipped 1 as usual, but we have 4 double crochets, front post double crochet, and 4 double crochets. Then we'll skip that next one and repeat on the next 3 sides, just like we've been doing. I have completed row 6. We have our 5 corners. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets with that front post and 4 double crochets. And it looks really pretty. It does kind of have the appearance of a star. And that's because those front post stitches sort of pull that in, which is fine with me. I think it's lovely. But it is actually a pentagon shape, 5-sided, 5 points. All right, so I've cut my blue yarn off, and I'm going to bring in this beige just for a change of color. You can use whatever color that you want, and you don't even have to change colors, of course. We're going to make a row of single crochet around the edge of our pillow, and then we'll grab the second one that we've already made and we'll put them together. All right, so we're going to go right in that chain 1 space and stitch a single crochet, and then we'll stitch a second one. Now we're going to go in that first single crochet, and we're going to stitch, or I should say that first double crochet, and stitch a single crochet. And we're going to stitch a single crochet in each of the stitches, working across to the next point or corner. And the single crochet row is going to give us what we need to stitch the front and the back together. And I just chose to grab a different color because I really wanted you just to be able to see my stitches. I probably would have gone ahead and done this in the blue. But again, this is my demonstration, and I wanted you to be able to see where I place my stitches. All right, so we're placing a single crochet in each of the double crochets across. That brings us to our chain one space in the corner, and we're just going to stitch 2 single crochets in that corner. All right, and then we'll just repeat that on the last 4 sides, of course. 1 single crochet in each stitch, 2 single crochets in the corner, and repeat all the way around. I have completed that 7th row of just stitching a single crochet in each of the stitches around and 2 single crochets in each of the 5 corners. And this is the one we made together, and this is the other one that I made, because we need to have 2. You need to have a front and a back. All right, now when you've finished, if you're going to use that same color to stitch your 2 pieces together, you can leave it attached. I decided I'm going to go with this cream for stitching them together. So what you're going to do is you're going to, remember, you need 2, and you're going to put your 2 together with your right sides facing out. And one thing I did weave my ends in, but I didn't cut them. I figured it doesn't matter, they're inside the pillow. Just something that I do. You can cut them if you want to. All right, so I'm going to use the cream. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And I'm going to join in my cream color. And what we're going to do, I'm going to slip those inside my pillow. What we're going to do is we're just going to repeat what we just did. And that is we're going to single crochet in each of the stitches around. We're not going to place 2 in the end because it already has those 2 and there's not a chain one space. So basically you're just single crocheting around all the sides, and then you want to leave an opening on this end so you can stitch it. All right, so we're going to go through the first single crochet here and the first single crochet here and stitch our single crochet. I'm going to snug that down. Then we'll just go in the next stitch on each side. And so we're stitching single crochets all the way around in order to stitch the front and the back of our pillow together. And I decided to go ahead and go with the cream just so you can see how I'm stitching there. All right. And make sure everything stays lined up. You don't want to get your corners in the wrong direction or anything. All right, so I'm just going to continue around stitching the front and the back together with single crochet stitches all the way around, and then we'll come back around over here and I'm going to leave an opening so I can stuff it, and then we'll close it. I have stitched around my pillow and I've left an opening for stuffing, and the stuffing amount is up to you depending on what I'm going to do with it. Depends on how much stuffing I'm going to put inside. And what I usually do is I'll put it in towards the corners, whether there's 1, 2, 3, 6, or 12. I like to go and put a little wad of stuffing in the corners. It just helps it hold its shape, I think. We'll slide one right over here in this corner. And then we'll put some right in the middle. fluff it out a little and just sort of fill it in. I love this pillow. I love the way that it lays, and I love the way that it looks, that it kind of resembles a star. It's not exactly a star, but it does kind of resemble it. Let me get a little more so I can put it right here in this opening. Alrighty, so now all I need to do is close up my pillow by finishing stitching those single crochets. And then the last thing we have to do is add that button. Now you don't have to add a button to cinch in the middle. I just like to because I think it's cute. But you don't have to if you like your pillow just the way it is. Oh, get in there. That last stitch did not want to go in there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Join this to that first single crochet. Tie that off, and then I'm just going to grab my needle and weave that in. So I've got everything tidied up, and the last thing I'm going to do is add this button. Now remember, you don't have to add a button if you don't want to. So what I do is I take my yarn, and I've just got some medium weight, kind of a brown that'll match this pretty well. And I'll go in the center here, like this. Just go across. And I'm going to leave a tail of yarn there, and I'm going to make a loop. All right. Now I'm going to go in. I'm going to turn my pillow over, and I'm going to come up the other side. I'm going to pull it just a little bit, and I'm going to make a loop on this side. And that just cinches it in just a little bit. And then I'll go back the other way. And because this is the side I want my button on. Now you can put a button on both sides if you want to. I just decided on this side I'm not going to. I'm only going to put one on this side. All right, so now I'm going to grab my button. And I like this big wooden button. And I'm going to go across. And then I'll do that a couple of times so that my button is on there securely. And when you go across, make sure you go through some stitches and not just space. Because you want that to hold securely. All right, do that a couple more times. And then you just take those two ends and tie them. And I usually like to wrap this a couple of times. I don't know why, I just feel like it makes it just a little bit more secure. And you know me, I like 3 knots. All right, then we'll just tilt that button up just a little bit and clip underneath that button. There we go. So now I have a button in the center. Now, again, if you want to put one on this side, you certainly can. I'm just not going to. I feel like the stitch is hidden enough and it's not needed, but you certainly can. All right, so that is our Scrap Happy Fuzzy Pillow. I just love it.